Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to redirect you to this video over here. It was the first in this series, is what I'm calling it. Basically, we went over the 51 best books of 2022. I did not do any of the legwork as much as I would love to take credit, but credit should go to Katie Coulson. I will link her channel on one of these corners, whichever one it is. Specifically, her video discussing the best books of 2022 as like a whole. She watched 400 best books of 2022 videos, and then she compiled the best books of. I just went through and analyzed the books that she said were the best books. We got together our TBR, which is sitting right over here, for this video, and there might be enough books on there to split this into 2 vlogs. We'll see. But then I went on to my subscription service, Scribd, and I went and found quite a few of the other books that I don't own physically. And there are some that are like audiobooks, some that are ebooks and things like that. But I found Spy Family right here. It's 200 pages, and I think it's a Magna. It's like a graphic novel. So I think I might be able to finish it right now. I'm going to try to read for like an hour, and we'll see if I finish it in an hour. Just because usually it's told mostly through pictures, which is cool. I love those kind of books, but I don't own it. I think that it's about this guy who is a spy, and he wants to look like just a regular guy or whatever. So he pays someone to be his wife. And then there's somehow there's a kid involved, I think. I don't know. We're gonna see though. Alright, I finished Spy Family Volume 1, and, you know, it was cute. Like, I get why a lot of people love this manga series. I just don't really read manga. And, you know what? That's okay. I don't need to, but it was cute. I like that he's a spy and that he, his mission is to get a family, and then he has to get the adorable, quirky little family. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That was pretty good. Alright, I just started We Spread by Anne Reed. It is about 5 hours long, so that's pretty easy to get through. I am listening to it at 1.2 speed. I might kick it up a little bit to like 1.5 or 1.75 here in a little bit, but I thought I would update you real quick because I finished The Dead Romantics. I still can't find my book, but I have a digital version as well, so I finished it on the digital version. I haven't rated it yet, but I didn't love it. I think it's probably going to be like a 2-star book. I just need to sit on it a little bit because, like, I really enjoyed the grief. No, the grief was portrayed really well because this woman is this ghostwriter for a really famous author, and her literary, like her agent is a new agent, so you start where she's meeting him for the first time, but then she gets a call because her dad passed away, so she goes back home, which she hasn't been in like 10 years, and then I liked the aspect of grief over her father and like trying to move on from his death and like grieve over him. That felt really real for me. That felt emotional. That felt how it should. But then like she fell in love with the ghost, and I don't know. I just think it was weird because, like, if she's seen ghosts for her entire life, which she claims she has, then, like, you would know how to help them without, like, falling in love with them. And I don't know. It was just weird. It didn't make sense to me. So I think altogether I'm going to give it, like, a 2-star. And I was quite bored with that one. So I did just start We Spread. I literally don't know what it's about yet because, like, I'm like 5 minutes into it. But I'm going to listen to that as I clean my kitchen and make some lunch kind of at the same time. I don't know if I'm going to take you with me or not. Maybe for part of it. We'll see. But I thought I would update you. Yeah, I don't really like The Dead Romantics. I don't really agree with everyone how it's like one of the best books of last year. Or that you read last year. I think it was a new release last year though. And if I find it, I will let you know. I'm wondering if I left it at school. I tend to do that quite often, actually. Leave stuff in my classroom. halfway done with the audiobook from Ian Reid. We Spread by Ian Reid. I finished my kitchen, made some lunch, ate some lunch, and thought that I would come back and talk to you a moment about this book and my thoughts so far. You follow this woman who, at the beginning of the book, she was by herself. Her husband, I think her husband died many years ago. She's an older woman. And she is, I'm thinking that she has dementia and that she's kind of losing it. So her landlord found her in the morning on the floor and decided that it was time for her to go to the retirement home, kind of. That's what it is. It's a retirement home. It's like this facility for older folks. And she's like, I don't remember telling you that I want to go here, but apparently before her husband died, they made the plans because she was getting older and he was worried about her once he passed away, that she wouldn't be able to take care of herself. And it's been several years, and so she's at this facility now, and weird things are starting to happen, and it's a little bit creepy. But more than anything, so far it's a commentary on like getting older and how scary it can be for those older folks who are maybe losing their memories and losing their minds a little bit, and that don't have anyone, and if they do, they don't remember the people that they do have. And it feels like she's starting to spiral, but I'm not sure if it's her spiraling or if this facility was just like, from the outside, it was too perfect, and now that she's actually there, things are not as perfect as they looked, and she's skipping meals because she's sleeping too much, and she's not really seeing any more of the residents anymore, and things are just starting to be a little fishy to me, and I suspect something is going to happen, but I might finish this book today, and I am enjoying it. I just don't know if so my gut instinct is that, like, I don't know, because dementia is such a hard thing to go through, and like, I haven't gone through it myself, but I've had grandparents or grandparent, my grandpa had dementia really bad there at the end, and like the last time I saw him, he thought that I was my grandma Beulah, which he has always said was like the love of his life. She died like before I was born, and I'm 30, so 35 years ago. I'm not entirely sure how long ago, but before I was born. And those moments are just something that I hold so dearly with me. But like, how would it be for that person that's actually like spiraling, that's actually losing their mind and losing their memories, and like, that's got to be so terrifying. So I don't know, maybe the facility is weird, and maybe she really does have dementia. I mean, it hasn't been said that that's what's going on, but that's what I'm thinking. I'll probably update you when I'm done with this book. I finished We Spread by Ian Reid. So going into We Spread, I had no idea what it was about. I just thought, knowing Ian Reid's writing, that it was going to be a weird horror novel. And I mean, I was right, but I was also oh so wrong. You follow this woman named Penny, who, okay, let me start again. I already inserted a clip about halfway through We Spread where I just asked a bunch of questions that I needed answers to. I can't really give you a whole lot more information. All I can say is that you follow this aging woman named Penny, who has been alone for a long time since her husband died, several years before that. And things are starting, like, you can see her mind and her memories kind of leaving her. And it was so haunting, but so beautiful. So if you want an emotionally charged horror novel that is really going to get inside your head, like, it's a horror inside yourself, like getting older, forgetting things, and losing yourself with this aging process. And it's honestly so terrifying, because you also got to know Penny when she was younger. She said, oh, this is what I used to be like. This is what I used to do. This was stuff that meant the world to me. And now I'm just this elderly woman and none of that stuff even matters. And honestly, this book just ripped my heart out and made it so crushingly sad. But it's also creepy and slow, and I wouldn't change anything about We Spread by Ian Reid. I actually loved it so much that I went on to Pango Books and I bought myself a physical copy after I finished it today. So yeah, I have no Pango Books credit anymore. And I actually had to pay the difference because I didn't quite have enough for it, but that's okay. It's a hauntingly beautiful, amazing book. It's scary, haunting, and it's just, it like plays with a lot of people's real life fears. Like, to be quite honest with you, that is something that I worry about myself all the time, because I kind of feel like, well, dementia runs in my family, and that is like always right there at the, like right there in my brain, like, oh my gosh, if I get dementia, like, then I could be Penny. I could lose myself. And like, even not just like getting older and aging, but I think that a lot of people these days also just like find themselves lost in life, and it could be about like, you know, mental health and staying mentally fit and things like that. In this instance, it is about Penny getting older and aging and This book was just perfect. I would be surprised if it's not one of my favorite books of the year. When we do our favorites, it was just, I can't say anything negative about this book, but it was just, it's that type of horror that just gets under your skin, and it's like very mundane day-to-day life for a lot of it, but it's so much more than that when you think about it and when you just are there with Penny. And I am so glad that I read this book for this challenge. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I want something not quite so heavy, not quite so emotional, because maybe this is a horror novel that made me cry. Maybe, but we're just gonna keep going, okay? So I don't know what my next book is gonna be. I mean, I could read Book Lovers again, because I don't remember a lot of it. Oh, I actually have a couple of holds from my library that just came up, or from my Libby app. So let's see. The first one is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I got the audiobook so that I can read the physical copy as I listen, because I believe this is her memoir and it's read by the author. Usually memoirs are. So there's that one, which is going to be another heavy one. Or there's 7 Days in June, which I have as an ebook. It's a romance, but I really thought it was a thriller. Let me see if I can figure out what this book is about. So, hey friends, it's been like 10 days since I saw you last. I know for you it was real quick, but for me it's been like 10 days. I've been really busy because, I work a lot, and I've been doing an extra day of PD, which is professional development, on Saturdays. So really I've only had 1 day off a week, and like technically I didn't do lesson plans this week. Don't tell my boss. But technically Sundays are usually the day that I do my prep for the next week, unless I get it done the week before at school. But I do that, and I do my lesson plans on Sundays. But I've been looking for a house, and just like life gets in the way. So it's been 10 days, but I do not remember if I talked to you about We Spread by Ian Reid, because I listened to this one on audiobook, and clearly I loved it because now I own it. So going into We Spread, I had 0 ideas about what this book was about. I just knew that I had read from Ian Reid before, and that this was one of the best books of 2022, according to all the work that Katie Coulson did. I'll link her channel again, or it will already be linked. I'm sorry. But yeah, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that Ian Reid's writing was a little odd, kind of weird, kind of out there. Because I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid a couple years ago, and I liked that one. I gave it 4 stars. We Spread by Ian Reid was amazing. And that's like putting it lightly. This was devastating. This was terrifying. this really got under my skin. So you follow this woman named Penny who is getting older, and her husband, before he died, they made this plan with the landlord and with her that when she gets too old and she can't take care of herself, that they will put her into like this really nice nursing home, but it doesn't even really seem like a nursing home. It's like a retirement village, but there's only 6 guests. And there is some weird stuff that happens in this book. And the entire time I'm like, in my own mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, is Penny just getting really old and maybe she has a real bad case of dementia? Or are the people at this retirement village just very unreliable and very terrible people? And like the whole time I had no idea what I wanted to believe. But ultimately, this is a beautiful, haunting, just terrifying book about like life and what it's like to get old and what it's like to lose your mind piece by piece, a little bit at a time. So if you are afraid of getting old and dying, or I don't know, if that's a fear of yours, then this might get under your skin. And like, I fell in love with this writing, and Penny was so freaking amazing to be in her life. But at the same time, like, this book had me looking over my shoulder, but this book also had me crying for Penny. So if you want an emotionally devastating, heartbreaking horror novel that seems real, this one's definitely amazing. I gave it 5 stars, if you couldn't tell. It's very haunting and disturbing and really plays with real life fears. At times it's kind of slow, but you know what? I didn't even mind in this book. This was perfection. And then I did finish one other book. This one I just finished a couple days ago, but I needed to sit on it. So I don't rate nonfiction, so I'm not going to give you a rating, but this book is perfect. I know I said that We Spread is perfection, but this nonfiction speaks so many volumes, and it really just, it angered me and it empowered me and it made me sob for this woman. And it was perfection. So I read Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Going into this, I think I knew a little bit about this case, but I didn't know a lot. But Chanel Miller writes about when she woke up in the hospital and she didn't remember anything, and how she finally started to get the little pieces, and how I believe this happened in California, but how, like, for a long time, rape was considered unwanted penetration. But if there was no penetration, then it wasn't rape. So trigger warnings for rape and the aftermath of that. So this book had me sobbing my eyes out. And then it took 4 years. 4 years, I think. Maybe 3 years, but it took a long time. And this book talks a lot about how victims are questioned. Every decision they made the night of the attack. Not just her story, but if you are a victim, then you are put on trial for the decisions that you've either made in your past or even on the night of the attack. And that sometimes in this justice system that we call justice, it's not always just. And sometimes, like in this case, the perpetrator, the suspect, the rapist you don't get that justice. You don't ever get that closure. And it just spoke volumes to me. And then it goes on to talk about some other high-profile cases and high-profile moments in history. More recent history, not like, a long time ago. Like, within the past 5 years, history. So present-day history of rape and of those in power who get away with it or don't think that it's wrong. Maybe not the action of rape itself, but like how, for example, Chanel wrote about how she was calling her boyfriend and telling him how she gets catcalled and how she gets followed because she's a woman. And like, it's not just the fact that a man is following you, which is not even okay, but it's also the fact that, like, he says things like, you owe me just because you're a woman and I want sex. You have to give it to me even though you don't know this man. And like, just some of the things that women go through on a day-to-day basis that never even crosses a man's mind because they don't live it. They don't see it. And it should be a big deal. And it is a big deal. And this book just shined a very big light on that. So I never rate nonfiction because it's not my place to tell you that your story is not entertaining enough or not good enough for me to read. No. And this isn't even entertaining. This is just haunting and very deliberate in every page of writing that Chanel Miller did. And it was just, it made me feel things. And that is why I read. Well, I mean, that's one reason. I love feeling things, even the things that break my heart. And this was just so heartbreakingly devastating and beautiful and haunting and like perfection. So if I rated nonfiction, this would be a 5 out of 5 stars for sure. Like, she starts off the book by saying that the fact that I spelled subpoena, S-U-H-P-E-E-N-A, which is not how you spell subpoena, may suggest I'm not qualified to tell this story. But yet, here I am. And that was just like, hooked me from the very beginning. So I will be keeping this as my favorite, like one of my favorites for nonfiction. I don't have a lot of nonfiction on my favorite shelf, but like I said, this is haunting. It's oh so wrong what we call our justice system, and it's not just at all. I mean, because you follow Chanel Miller, the night she went to a party with her baby sister, I think, she went to a party with her sister at the Stanford College. I think it was at a frat house, and she woke up in the hospital after her attack, and there were so many parts of the case that people questioned her and said that her motives and what she chose to do that night was not okay, because she chose to have a couple drinks at that party, and because she drank on an empty stomach, and because like it was always just Chanel's fault, and Chanel was the victim in this case. So it's way too much. But I will update you later when I've read more. I don't know what the next book is that I'm going to read for this reading vlog. I might take a little bit of a break and try a 7 books in 7 days challenge, although I do go back to work tomorrow, so it'd probably be smarter to do the 7 books in 7 days challenge over the summer. We'll see. But I will see you guys in a moment. Oh my gosh. Like, first off, what did I just read? And second off, oh my gosh. So, it's been quite a while since I've actually talked on this vlog. The last time that I saw you, I think I had just finished We Spread by Ian Reid. And then I read The Last Housewife, but it's been like 2 weeks since I read Ian's We Spread by Ian Reid. I read this entire thing in 2 days. 2 days. So I started this less than 2 days. I started this Friday night, probably around like 7. It is currently Saturday at like 6. So 6:30. Less than 24 hours to finish this entire thing. And I went to see my house, and I went to Goodwill, and I bought some furniture, and I also bought some books, which is fine, but my mind is so blown right now. So, The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead is by far the most disturbing book I have ever read. And I loved every second of it. Definitely check all the trigger warnings in here. I would not go around recommending this book to a lot of people, Not because it wasn't good, because I thought it was fantastic. But because of the violence towards women, the misogyny, the explicit rape scenes, and so you follow like a dual timeline. You follow right now, in the present, when Shay finds out that one of her best friends from college, Laurel, has committed suicide. Or at least that's what everyone is saying, that it was suicide. So she goes back to New York, I think, which is her, yes. She goes back to New York from her small town in Texas where she's built a pretty decent life. And she goes back to New York to start talking to this guy named Jamie, who is also doing a true crime podcast about the current case. And she is under the impression that Laurel wouldn't commit suicide. So then you are kind of taken back to 8 years before, when Shay was in college with Laurel and Clem. And they were like the 3 best friends. They did everything together, and everything was just like perfect with each other as their friendship blossomed. And then the only way that they could get a dorm room together was if they had a 4th person. So they ended up finding this girl named Rachel. And Rachel kind of moved in with them, and it was fine, but they did think that Rachel was a little weird, whatever. Rachel introduced them to her daddy named Dawn. And Dawn brought them into the world of like a sex cult. Yeah, let's go with a sex cult. And he basically pimped them out to other people. And and you follow Shay as she's investigating what happened to Laurel and maybe going to some shady places to figure it out in present day. But you also follow the true crime podcast that brings you back to the college setting and what was going on. And then this thriller was dark and disturbing and twisted, and there were so many reveal after reveal after reveal. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, that was a little surprising. No, it was like, what? Oh my gosh. I'm clearly going to give this 5 stars, or I clearly have given this 5 stars. It was amazing. I think it's 370 pages in less than 24 hours. I read the first 280 pages last night, but I couldn't stay up any later to finish the last 100. So I only had to read 100 pages today, but oh my gosh, my mind, I'm like shaking. Oh my gosh, because this book was so disturbing. And the whole time I was like, yeah, go Shay. And oh my gosh. So I would not recommend this to a lot of people. I would tell everyone that is even thinking about reading The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead that Ashley Winstead is a better Karen Slaughter than Karen Slaughter. So it goes places. It does things. I loved it, but definitely check the trigger warnings. I know that there are a lot of things in this book that people cannot stomach, and that's like rightfully so, because this is terrible things. It was dark. But I loved being in Shay's head. I loved being in her mind. And just some of the beliefs that, like, it talks a lot. It actually shows a lot about, like, how women and men are different, and how men still have, some people still have the mindset that the woman is supposed to cater to her man and do everything for him, and that's no. And this is so dark. Like, I don't know what else to say, because I definitely don't recommend it to the masses. Definitely check all the trigger warnings. There's so much violence towards women, and there's kind of a revenge taken here. There's definitely a cult. The cult is a big part of this, and it was like an episode of Law and Order SVU, but where they put the victim as an undercover agent. Kind of. I don't know. There are so many things wrong with this book. Like, this entire book is a dumpster fire of disturbing, gross, inhumane, violent things that happened. But I really enjoyed this book. I don't know what else to say. I think the next time I see you, I will be reading The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. But The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, does it deserve to be in the best books of 2022? I loved every disturbing second of this book. So I would say yes. However, I know there's a caveat to that, because there's a lot of people that will not be able to handle this. So don't go in thinking that this is, like, gonna be your favorite thriller of all time. Is it mine? I don't know. It could be my favorite thriller of all time. What does that say about me as a person? But I loved The Last Housewife, and I definitely think that it is deserving of whatever spot on the best books of 2022 that Katie Coulson made. I will link her channel up here. But, oh my God. This was damaging and disturbing and amazing and wonderful. I might be demented. Hey friends, so for you it's been a couple seconds. In reality, it's been like 3 weeks. So, slacker booktuber here. But in all seriousness, I started this last book for the best of 2022, and we're gonna really see if I agree. This is just the first round. I think there will be 3 more rounds, I think. Maybe 4. But I have started The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. I'm 4 chapters in, and so far, I'm just utterly confused about everything. So far, I followed Olivia the cat and Ted the alcoholic who has mind gaps. Like, he has memory gaps. So I can't trust him. Olivia's cool, but she's a cat, and I'm not really sure what her story is. And then I think that we're going to get Lauren's perspective, which is Ted's daughter, pretty soon. But I thought I would listen to the audiobook and get my plants transplanted, because I have my 3 pots right here. And then let me show you my plants real quick, and we'll go outside and do this. I have 2 cactuses. This one is very big. I haven't killed them yet. I'm so excited. This one, she's like, oh, hide. And my newest addition, which is my aloe vera plant. Thank you, Carrie. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. I will set you up outside and we'll do that. Okay, so I read more of The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. I'm only like 65 pages in still. But I have a theory. So if you've read this, then just go with me for this theory. If you haven't read this and you don't want any spoilers at all, then I would mute or skip ahead until the book is put down like this, because I'm potentially spoil things. I'm still super confused about this book. I don't understand why I have the cat's perspective. I really do like Olivia, and I love her perspective because she's kind of like sassy, low-key sass queen. And I love that for the cat. Ted, kind of his perspective seems like a child, but I know that he's supposed to be an adult who drinks a lot and has like brain gaps or like memory loss. And I'm not sure what's going on with him. But maybe, is he like delusional maybe? My theory is that Dee is looking for her sister Lulu, who went missing. And now Lauren is Ted's daughter, and he keeps referring to her, but we haven't actually like met her on paper yet. Like, he's talked about her but not to her. So I'm still this is just really bizarre, to be honest with you. It better come together real nicely in the end, but I don't know what to think or what to feel about this book so far. I like the cat, but what if, because I'm thinking that his daughter, Lauren, is the one that was kidnapped, is Dee's sister, Lulu, because she was kidnapped when she was like 6. So, I mean, you could still remember your birth family, but I mean, he could have brainwashed her because it's several years later. I don't know. So, okay, let's go with this. Let's say that Ted is the man that kidnapped Lulu. He changes her identity to Lauren. And then, like present day, Olivia is really Lauren or Lulu. So there isn't really a cat, but I think there's a cat. I don't know. I'm very confused, but I'm going to keep reading. If you've read this, do you like it? Yeah. So that's our update. Hey friends! I finished The House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. I don't understand the hype on this one at all. I gave it 2 stars. It was fine, but I feel like most of my predictions came true. It was very, very obvious from the very beginning. And yeah, I just didn't care, to be honest with you. Jellybean thinks it's all about him, as per normal. So I'm going to quickly wrap up what we read during this vlog. I've been working on this vlog for a while, so I don't entirely remember. I know that I read 7 books in this vlog, and I'm pretty sure that 5 of them I did not like, and 2 of them I do agree could be the best books of last year. But generally speaking, I'm pretty sure that I am the unpopular opinion that most of these books were not worth it. Let's start with The House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. 2 stars. Definitely not a favorite. And I don't understand. I don't understand it. There's a lot of times when I read a book and, like, I didn't particularly love it, but I can understand the intrigue or why other people would love it. I like the writing, and that's it. That was the only thing I liked in this book. Okay, then I don't own a lot of these books, but I am going to check on my computer because it shows me exactly. Okay, so we read Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and Spy Family, the first in the series. I kind of knew going into that one I wouldn't love it, but I did not like the 3 of those. I think I gave Razorblade Tears, The Dead Romantics, and Spy Family all 2 stars. So then we add this on, and that's 4 books with 2 stars. But then we read We Spread by Ian Reid, which was like maybe my all-time favorite horror novel ever. It was amazing. Definitely 5 stars. If you haven't read We Spread, I would definitely pick it up unless you're afraid of getting old and dying, because that's basically what that book is about. Then we read Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I don't personally rate nonfiction because I don't think that I could do that. Like, I could tell you that a certain nonfiction book was not written very well, but how am I supposed to sit here and judge your story, like your truth? I can't. With Know My Name, though, if I did rate nonfiction, it would be 5 stars, and I absolutely loved it. It was really heartbreaking, so hard to read, but definitely one that I would recommend. I would check the trigger warnings first, though. And then we read The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, and that is like an amazing thriller. It got really, really dark and really, really violent, though. So again, check the trigger warnings on there. I would not go around recommending The Last Housewife to everyone because it's like a cult and there's misogyny and it's a really terrible book, but I enjoyed it. I think that might have been all of them. I'm gonna double check though. Yeah, that would be the 7 books that we read in this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're new around here. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of like the best books of 2022, which I'll link my first initial video up here. I think it's this corner, but it could be either of them. And I just basically go through the top 56 books of 2022 because another booktuber, Katie Colson, which I'll link her up above as well, she did all the legwork of making the list for me, but I'm just using it to read and to see if I agree that those are the best books of 2022 or if I disagree. And so far it seems like I disagree a lot. But that's like my middle name is Alita Disagrees McDermott. Did you say you got that right?